The stars above Earth shone peacefully, hiding what was really happening behind the scenes. On the surface, the galaxy was celebrating peace. The Xorani Empire, once the most feared force in the stars, had signed a peace treaty with the humans of Earth. The broadcast showed smiling diplomats, alien leaders shaking hands, and children releasing doves into the sky. But Commander Jason Hale wasn't smiling. He stood near the back of Earth's diplomatic station, arms crossed, watching the event from the shadows. His eyes didn't blink. His jaw was tight. He didn't believe in peace. Not like this. Not this easily. "Looks good, doesn't it?" said Lieutenant Avery beside him. "It looks like a funeral," Hale replied quietly. Avery frowned. "Everyone says this is history. The war's over." "No," Hale said. "The war just changed its clothes." 3 days earlier, Hale had received a strange message. It came from a long-dead agent supposedly lost during the last galactic battle near the Jupiter front. The signal was full of static, almost unreadable. But one line came through clear. "Don't trust the silence." Since then, Hale had felt it in his gut. Something was wrong. After the treaty signing, parties broke out across human space. News anchors called it a new golden age. Children painted stars and flags on their faces. Even the president of Earth Defense Command gave a speech about finally laying down arms. But in a dark room below the celebration halls, Hale sat in front of a monitor, staring at energy signatures coming from the asteroid belt. Something didn't add up. According to the treaty, no warships, Xorani or human, were allowed near Sol System. But Hale's scans showed massive energy bursts near the far side of Earth's moon. Too clean, too regular. Like cloaked ships sitting still, watching. Hale opened a private line. "Send up the Wraith," he ordered. The Wraith was Earth's most advanced stealth drone, silent, invisible, deadly. "Sir, that violates treaty protocol," the technician replied. "Soda's sneaking into our backyard." The drone launched. It moved like a ghost through the stars, invisible to everything, or so they thought. For 10 minutes, the feed showed only empty space. Then suddenly the signal died. Gone, cut clean. No explosion, no warning. Just silence. "Wraith is offline," the tech said. "That's impossible." Hale stared at the screen. "No," he said. "That's confirmation." He gathered his team the next morning off the record. There was Avery, his loyal second-in-command, Rios, a tech genius who hacked the Martian security grid at age 15, and Captain Lena Cross, a heavy weapons specialist with nerves of steel. "This isn't peace," Hale told them. "This is a setup, and we're walking right into it." Cross raised an eyebrow. "You have proof?" "Not yet," Hale said. "But I know where to find it." He pulled up a map of the asteroid belt. "There's an old scout ship, Terran Scout 9, lost 12 years ago during the first Xorani skirmish. That ship disappeared without a trace. Last week, a signal came from its last known location." "You think it's still out there?" Avery asked. "I think it was never really lost," Hale said. "And I think it has answers." The Black Ops team launched in silence. Their ship, Black Echo, moved like a shadow. No lights, no transmissions, no records. They reached the edge of the asteroid belt within hours. Floating in the darkness was a shape. Twisted metal, scorched armor, yet still mostly intact. "Terran Scout 9. She's a ghost," Rios whispered. As they docked, the lights inside flickered to life, without being powered. "Motion sensors?" Cross asked. "No," Hale said. "Someone turned them on." They entered carefully. Bodies floated in the halls, perfectly preserved in the cold vacuum. But there was no sign of a struggle, no fire, no battle, and every one of the crew had a single shot through the skull. "Execution," Cross whispered. The walls were scratched in places. Rios shone a light across one wall, and they all froze. There, carved deep into the steel, was a symbol. The Exorani Royal Crest. But this ship disappeared before the war even began, Avery said. Exactly, Hale muttered. This wasn't war. This was planning. They reached the command deck. The main console flickered. Suddenly, a soft beep echoed through the ship. A small red light began to blink. Then a voice spoke, mechanical, alien, cold. Initiation sequence, 72 hours until deployment. What is this? Rio said, stepping back. It's not our tech, Cross added. That's not even a human language. It's Separani. Hale stared at the blinking light. Deployment of what? Nobody answered. The silence returned, louder than before. Back on Earth, the treaty celebrations were louder than ever. Fireworks lit the sky. Ships danced in synchronized patterns. Children waved at the stars. And in orbit, something watched them, not with eyes, but with targeting systems. The red light kept blinking. Commander Hale stood still, eyes locked on the alien message echoing through the cold deck of Terran Scout 9. Initiation sequence, 72 hours until deployment. What deployment? Lieutenant Avery asked, her voice low. Rios checked the ship's old database, hands moving fast over the dusty console. There's a secondary data core in engineering. Could hold more information. Then let's move, Hale said. We don't have time. They made their way through the narrow corridors, past floating bodies and flickering lights. The air was thin, the silence heavy, like something was watching from the shadows. When they reached engineering, the door was sealed shut. Cross placed a hand on the metal, still pressurized on the other side. That means something's working. Can you open it? Hale asked. She nodded and pulled out a plasma cutter. As sparks flew, Rios tapped his wrist pad. Commander, I've been thinking. What if the Xorani never planned to win the war? What do you mean? What if the war was just to test us? To study how humans fight, how we think, how far we'll go. Cross looked up from the door. Then what's this ship? Rios said quietly, the next phase. The door finally slid open with a loud hiss. The room inside was lit and warm. That was wrong. Scout ships didn't have power after 12 years, especially not after a battle. And yet this one did. In the center of the room sat a glowing cylinder about the size of a large barrel, surrounded by alien symbols and humming quietly. Rios blinked. That's not human tech. It's not, Hale agreed. And it's still active. Avery took a slow step forward. What if this is the deployment unit? Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered. The cylinder hissed. A voice echoed from the walls, this time in perfect English. Deployment system armed. Human presence detected. Delay override in effect. Countdown 48 hours. They all froze. Sir, Rios said slowly, whatever this is, it just cut the timeline in half. Back on Earth, the president of Earth Defense Command stood in front of millions, smiling for the cameras. Behind him, a Xorani ambassador bowed politely. We move forward as partners, the president said. We put aside our weapons, and we look toward a future of unity. In space, cloaked ships watched silently. On board the Black Echo, the team raced back to the bridge with data pulled from the ship's core. Rios worked fast, decoding ancient files mixed with alien code. Some of this isn't even Xorani, he said. This looks older. How old? Hale asked. Thousands of years, maybe more. What does it say? Rios paused, eyes scanning lines of glowing text. It's a blueprint for something called Project Seafall. Cross frowned. Seafall? Yeah, Rios said. It's not a weapon. It's worse. It's a species replacement program. Avery narrowed her eyes. Say that again. It's designed to wipe out intelligent species and replace them with artificial life, grown from genetic templates. Half Xorani, half tech, totally loyal. No emotions. No rebellion. You're saying they don't want peace, Cross said. They want inheritance, Rios replied. They want the galaxy for themselves. The team stared at each other in silence. Then Hale made his decision. We destroy that cylinder. Now. He grabbed a demolition charge from the weapons case and turned back toward Scout 9. But as the team re-entered the ship, the lights died. Everything went black. Then emergency lights blinked on, red and dim and pulsing. And the bodies that floated in the halls, they were gone. Clear your weapons, Hale ordered. The team advanced carefully. Shadows moved in the corners of their vision. Faint clicking sounds echoed through the vents. Something was walking or crawling. This isn't right, Cross whispered. We scanned that ship. No life signs. Maybe they weren't alive, Avery said. Suddenly, from the ceiling, a shape dropped. It wasn't human. It had no face, no skin, just metal bones wrapped in synthetic flesh. Its eyes glowed red. It screamed, no sound, just vibration, lunged. Cross opened fire, blasting it apart. The pieces twitched, then stilled. Hostile confirmed, she said coldly. Defense system, Rios asked. No, Hale replied. That was a seed. They reached the cylinder again. Now it glowed brighter, alive with energy. Dozens of tubes had extended from it, and inside each tube, shapes floated. Human-shaped, but not human. Avery stared in horror. They're building an army, right here. Hale set the demolition charge. 30 seconds, he said. Move. The team ran back through the halls. More creatures attacked from the shadows. Silent, fast, deadly. Cross and Avery held the line, blasting their way to the airlock. Go, 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 Rios shouted. They launched back to the Black Echo just as the scout ship exploded behind them in a fireball of light and debris. Everyone was breathing hard. Silent. Then Rios broke the quiet. There's more, he said. That blueprint, it mentioned 4 other units. 1 near Jupiter, 1 on Titan, 1 orbiting Venus, and a last, under Earth's oceans. Everyone froze. Under Earth? You're sure? Hale asked. Rios nodded. They didn't just plan this war. They prepared for what comes after it. The ocean was quiet. Too quiet. The Terran deep-sea probe, Sentinel-42, sank slowly into the black depths of the Mariana Trench. Far below, the pressure could crush steel, and sunlight never reached. But something was down there, something not built by humans. Back on the Black Echo, Commander Hale stared at the dark screen showing the probe's live feed. Distance to target, he asked. 300 meters, Rios replied. Approaching fast, heat signatures rising. Avery leaned closer. Sir, why would the Xorani hide something under our oceans? Rios answered without looking up. Because no one would look there. Not for a weapon. Not for a seed vault. Hale's jaw clenched. If this is real, the war never ended. It just went quiet. The feed flickered. Then a shape appeared. It wasn't a building or a ship. It looked more like a wound in the earth, metal plates shaped like a cracked dome, pulsing with faint red light. The surface was covered in strange symbols, and thin tubes rose up like antennae, swaying as if alive. Avery whispered, That's not a vault. That's a nest. Inside the control room, silence fell. Then Rios spoke again. I'm picking up signals. It's trying to connect. It knows we're watching. Suddenly, a symbol flashed on screen. Xorani War Seal. But then it changed. The symbol turned into something human. The Earth flag. Hale leaned in, voice low. It's adapting. Or mocking, Avery muttered. Meanwhile, deep inside the trench, Sentinel-42 shuddered. Alarms beeped. The camera blurred. And then something hit it. Hard. The feed went black. Back on the surface, panic spread across Earth's Defense Command. They couldn't explain the energy spikes near the trench. They couldn't explain the probe loss, but the president refused to believe the treaty was broken. "We have peace," he said again. "We do not provoke our allies with wild stories." But humanity's old soldiers, those who had fought in blood in the war, began to speak in whispers. "Check the skies," one general warned. "Check the deep," said another. On the Black Echo, the crew prepared for descent. "You're not serious," Avery said. "You want to go down there?" Hale nodded. "We're not waiting for Earth to wake up. We saw the blueprint. This is a seed vault. If we don't shut it down, they'll launch from under our feet." "But this is no asteroid," Cross warned. "It's their back door into Earth." "Exactly," Hale said. "And we're going to slam it shut." The dive began. The ship dropped below the waves, engines humming quietly. Everything changed. The light, the pressure, the silence. No stars here. Only darkness and the weight of the unknown. As they neared the vault, their instruments glitched. Then froze. Then one word appeared on every screen. "We il Sidomim Beck." Cross whispered, "It's not just a machine. It's aware." Suddenly, the ship rocked. "Something's grabbing us," Avery yelled. Outside, large tentacle-like arms wrapped around the hull, metal limbs fused with bioflesh. "Weapons online," Hale barked. Cannons fired, cutting through the limbs, but more came. From the nest, creatures swam out, twisted shapes with glowing eyes, part machine, part sea creature. They swarmed. "These are ocean seeds," Rios shouted. "Designed to blend in, to wait." "We're not letting them wake up the others," Hale growled. "Rios, find me a way inside the vault. Now." Rios worked fast, hands flying. "There's a weakness. North side. Some kind of service tunnel. It's old, but I can breach it." "Then we go in," Hale ordered. Cross, Avery, and Rios followed him into the docking pod. It detached and sank toward the dark dome. The tunnel opened before them like a hungry mouth. Inside the nest, the walls breathed. Yes, breathed. The air was warm, wet, alive. Lights pulsed like heartbeats. The crew moved slowly, weapons raised. Rios scanned the area. Energy flow leads that way, probably toward the core. They walked deeper. And then they saw it. A chamber full of pods, hundreds, each with something inside, humanoid shapes, floating in glowing fluid. "They're copies," Cross whispered. "Copies of us." The faces inside the pods were human. Turan faces. Some even looked familiar. Avery froze. That's my sister." "She died in the war," Cross whispered. "She did," Avery replied. "So how is she here?" Rios checked the control panel. They scanned us. Took DNA from battlefields, prisoners, even corpses. They weren't just studying us. They were replacing us. A screen lit up in front of them. A message played in a calm female voice. "When peace begins, the replacement must be ready. Emotion is chaos. Instinct is failure. The future belongs to the perfect." The message ended. "That's why the treaty happened," Hale said. "It was never peace. It was a phase." Avery looked around. "So what do we do?" Hale pulled out a thermal bomb. "We end the phase." He set the timer. But just then something moved in the shadows. Not a seed. Not a machine. A person. She stepped forward, pale skin, red eyes in Hale's face. His clone. It smiled. "You are the past, Commander. I am the future." Then everything went dark. Darkness. Commander Hale opened his eyes. Everything was red. An alarm blinked on his wrist display. 12 minutes until detonation. But the room wasn't empty anymore. His clone stood calmly, arms behind its back. Behind it, more shadows moved. Other clones. Some looked like Avery. Some like Cross. All perfectly still. "Why?" Hale asked. The clone smiled. Because you're too emotional. Too unstable. Peace needs order. We are that order. Rios groaned beside him, tied to a pillar of glowing wires. They copied our minds too. These things know everything we knew. And they've been practicing, Cross added, his face pale. For years. Meanwhile, on the Black Echo, the bridge shook violently. Creatures were clawing at the hull. Defense systems failing. The AI shouted, "We can't hold much longer." The ship's pilot, a quiet woman named Silva, locked the controls and made a choice. Brace for impact. We're going down there. She sent the ship diving into the trench. If the commander was still alive, she'd bring him out, or die trying. Back inside the vault, Avery managed to loosen her wrist strap. She pretended to be unconscious as the clones spoke around her. "We are to rise when the humans trust peace," one said. "The treaty was their test," another replied. "They failed." A third clone turned toward her. "That one is stirring." Avery moved fast. She ripped a metal tube from the ground and smashed it into the nearest clone's head. It hissed, glitching. Sparks flew. Its body jerked and collapsed. "Now," she shouted. Hale broke free, slamming his clone into the wall. Cross and Rios followed, grabbing whatever weapons they could. But these weren't machines. They were faster, stronger. And they were learning. They ran down the corridor, gunfire and sparks echoing behind them. "Where's the bomb?" Hale shouted. "Still armed." Rios panted. 8 minutes left. "Can we detonate early?" "No, signal jamming is active." They reached a dead end. "No time to turn back," Cross warned. Avery pointed up, vent shaft. Hale helped boost them one by one into the narrow tunnel. As he climbed last, something grabbed his leg. His clone. It looked up at him, bleeding silver, eyes cold. "You could have been perfect," it whispered. "But I'm human," Hale growled and kicked it hard. He climbed up and sealed the hatch behind him. They crawled through the shaft. The metal walls vibrated. "They're waking more," Rios said. "Every minute, more pods activate." "They're going global," Cross added. "Every city, every base we've touched, they've left seeds." "Then Earth doesn't know what's coming," Hale said grimly. Suddenly, the shaft burst open. They fell into a tall chamber filled with glowing crystals. At the center was the power core, the heart of the vault. Rios smiled. "We can overload this." "You sure?" "Almost." "That's good enough," Hale said. He and Avery covered the door as Cross and Rios rewired the core. The timer on the bomb ticked down. 5:49, 5:48. Outside, the Black Echo burst through the seafloor wall. Its lights swept over the chamber. "Extraction in 2 minutes," Silva called from the comms. "Make it 1." Hale shouted. "We're blowing this place sky high." Suddenly, one of the clone commanders stepped into the chamber. It looked like an old Terran general, someone who died 10 years ago. "Commander Hale," it said, "we don't have to do this." "Funny," Hale said. "That's what you said before the last ambush. You created war. We will end it." "No," Hale replied. "You created copies. We made sacrifice." He fired. The clone fell, but others ran in. "Time's up," Rios yelled. "Everyone, none OV." They leaped into the shuttle bay just as Silva docked. As the Black Echo pulled away, the bomb and core detonated. The vault exploded. A massive shockwave shot upward, tearing through the ocean. The trench collapsed. In orbit, Earth satellites watched as the Mariana signal vanished. The Defense Command finally listened. And they panicked. Later, on a recovery ship above the Pacific, Hale sat in silence, bandaged and bruised. Avery walked over. "They'll never admit it, will they?" "No," Hale said. "Not until the next vault wakes up." Cross joined them, holding a tablet. "We tracked 5 similar structures across the planet. Deep forests, deserts, even in Antarctica." Hale stared at the waves. The treaty wasn't a trap, he said softly. It was a countdown. The cold was biting. The Antarctic wind howled like a wild beast, whipping across the ice plains. But beneath the frozen surface, something darker stirred. The research station Aurora had gone silent. Captain Zara Lee stared at the blinking emergency beacon on her wrist. It was faint, weak, but it was there. "Sir, this is bad," whispered Lieutenant Malik. "We lost contact with Aurora 12 hours ago." Commander Hale sat in the command tent, face pale. "That's impossible. The treaty should have kept them safe." Avery shook her head. The treaty was a lie. They are waking the vaults, one by one. Back at Aurora, a shadow moved inside the main building. The lights flickered. Alarms buzzed weakly. The scientists had disappeared. Their research was left open on screens, data corrupted, messages half sent. Only one message remained clear. "They are here. The seeds have awakened." A soft growl echoed in the halls. From the darkness, shapes emerged, half-human clones, eyes glowing icy blue. One of them, a woman with pale skin and a strange tattoo on her wrist, raised her hand. "Initiate Phase 2, she commanded. Back at base camp, the team prepared for their mission. "Antarctica is more than frozen land," Hale said. "It's a giant vault with a secret we never wanted to face. Rios loaded weapons. These clones are stronger than before. More intelligent. They can think." Cross stared at the map. The power source is beneath the ice shelf, near the research station. Avery looked worried. "And if they activate the vault fully?" "Humanity is done," Hale said bluntly. "The clones will replace us all." The plane took off into the freezing sky. Inside, Hale stared out the window, watching the white world below. "Why here?" He wondered aloud. "Why Antarctica?" "Because it's the only place we won't look," Avery answered. "No one expects war beneath the ice." Malik tapped his tablet. The last signal was from a sub-level lab, depth unknown. "Then that's where we're going," Hale decided. "Prepare for the worst." They landed near Aurora under the eerie glow of the southern lights. The cold bit through their suits as they moved toward the station's entrance. Inside, the air was thick and cold. The station was deserted but alive with strange energy. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the corridors. "Welcome back, humans." It was the same cold voice from the vault under the ocean. The clones were here. They fought through narrow halls, clones appearing like ghosts, disappearing into the ice walls. Avery hacked a terminal. "The vault's core is deeper. We need to go down." Hale led the way into the freezing tunnels below. The walls were lined with tubes, filled with the glowing blue liquid and human forms inside. "More copies," Cross whispered. "And not just any humans," Rios said. "These have military implants. They're soldiers." Suddenly, the ground shook. A massive door slid open ahead. Beyond was a chamber filled with massive machines, humming with power. At the center was a huge crystal glowing with an icy blue light. "This is the heart of the vault," Avery said. Hale looked at the timer on his wrist. Time to end this. They planted charges on the machines and moved back. Clones rushed in from all sides. The battle was brutal. Hale fought his clone again, stronger, smarter. "This time you won't win," Hale growled. The clone smiled, raising a weapon. But then the charges exploded. The vault shook violently. Outside, the ice cracked and groaned. A massive fissure split the ground. The team ran to their plane as the vault collapsed into the earth. Hale looked back once. "This war is far from over," he said. Avery nodded. "They are everywhere." Back on the plane as they flew away, the team received a new message. It was from Earth Defense Command. "Prepare for full lockdown. All vault locations are active. All nations must unite." Hale clenched his fists. "The treaty was a trap," he said quietly. "But we saw it coming." The world was holding its breath. In the heart of the United Nations headquarters, Flags from every nation hung silently. Commander Hale stood before the massive assembly, flanked by Avery, Cross, and Rios. "Ladies and gentlemen," Hale began, voice steady but urgent, "the treaty was never about peace. It was a trap set by our enemy, our own creations, the clones." Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Avery stepped forward, showing satellite images and data from the vaults beneath the ocean in Antarctica. These vaults contain armies of clones, built from human DNA and advanced technology. They have been hiding, waiting. A delegate from Europe spoke up. "How do we fight an enemy that looks like us?" Cross answered, "We fight smart. We use what they don't have: human creativity, emotion, and unpredictability." In a secret military base, soldiers prepared for battle. Hale watched the training videos, clones mimicking human tactics, improving with every fight. "This isn't just a fight for survival," Hale told the troops. "It's a fight for what makes us human." Rios handed him a dossier. "We've discovered new vault sites, deep in jungles, deserts, even cities." Hale's eyes narrowed. "We need to strike fast before they awaken." In Washington, D.C., the president addressed the nation. "Today, we face an enemy unlike any before. But we are not alone. Every country must stand together to protect humanity's future." The speech was broadcast worldwide. People watched nervously. Meanwhile, back on the Black Echo, Silva checked the ship's systems. "New intel shows the clones are trying to hack Earth's satellites," she said. "If they control communication, they control the war." Hale nodded. "We must defend our networks." On the front lines, soldiers fought clones in urban ruins. Bullets ricocheted off the clones' armored skin. Hale led a squad deep into enemy territory. They discovered something worse. The clones were building factories to produce more of themselves, faster and stronger. "We need to destroy those factories," Hale said. "But it's guarded by hundreds of clones," Cross warned. "Then we make a diversion," Hale decided. Back at the UN, a scientist revealed a secret weapon, a virus designed to disrupt the clones' programming. "It won't harm humans," she explained, "but it will shut down the clones." Avery stared at the virus sample. This could turn the tide. The team prepared for the most dangerous mission yet. They would deliver the virus directly into the largest factory. Hale looked at his team. "This is our last chance." The shuttle dropped through a clouded sky onto the factory roof. Alarms blared. Clones swarmed from every corner. Gunfire and explosions rocked the building. Inside, Avery hacked the mainframe while Hale and Cross defended her. Seconds felt like hours. Finally, Avery shouted, "Virus is uploaded." The clones stopped. They twitched, then collapsed, lifeless. The factory went silent. Outside, Hale breathed deeply. "We did it." Avery smiled faintly. "For now." Back on Earth, the president declared, "Humanity will survive because we never gave up." Hale looked at the stars. "This war is far from over," he whispered. "But we are ready." The world was on an edge. After months of fighting, Earth was battered but not broken. Cities were ruined, skies were darkened by smoke, and millions had fled underground. Yet humanity's spirit burned brighter than ever. Commander Hale stood on a makeshift command tower overlooking the ruins of New York City. The skyline was jagged and broken, but it still stood. A symbol, a reminder. "We don't have much time," Hale said, voice firm. "The clones are regrouping. They're building a new army. Faster, smarter, stronger." Avery checked the data on her tablet. "Our virus worked, but they're evolving. They are rewriting their code as we speak." Cross clenched his fists. "We need to hit their main base, the Vault Mother, and end this." Rios nodded. "This is it. Humanity's last stand." The Vault Mother lay deep beneath the Mariana Trench, a fortress of ice, metal, and cold blue light. It was the heart of the Clone Empire. A massive ship carried the team across the turbulent ocean. The crew was tense, faces pale with exhaustion but eyes sharp with determination. "We can't fail," Hale said quietly, "because if we do, Earth dies." Inside the vault mother, tunnels stretched for miles. The air was cold, dry, and filled with a strange hum. Clones waited, silent but deadly. Hale's team moved carefully, guns ready, hearts pounding. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the halls. "You are brave to come here, humans, but you are too late." From the shadows, the clone queen stepped forward. Her eyes were ice, her smile cruel. "You saw the treaty as a trap," she said. "And you were right. But this war was always meant to be." The battle exploded. Bullets, lasers, and energy blasts filled the corridors. Hale fought his clone again, stronger, faster, more vicious. "This ends now," Hale shouted, dodging a lethal strike. Avery worked feverishly to plant a bomb in the core chamber. "Almost there," she said, sweat dripping. Cross and Rios held off waves of clones, fighting with everything they had. Finally, Avery triggered the bomb. A blinding light filled the vault. The ground shook. The clone queen screamed, furious and defeated. The team raced back to the surface as the vault collapsed behind them. Outside, the sun broke through the clouds. Birds sang. The world was waking. Back on Earth, leaders gathered to celebrate. The treaty had been a trap, but humanity had seen it coming. And this time, humanity had won. Commander Hale looked up at the sky, tired but hopeful. "This is our home," he said softly, "and we will fight to protect it. Always."